Chapter 2 Adventurers. Sometimes, when trust is broken, hope and faith do not survive. Nell Sorrow to his brother Bill before the Hell War. Aspel, Second Galaxy. Wakta was a small town in the middle of the Havi Desert, in the most northern part of the Ambu province on the planet Aspel. Havi was a vast and arid landscape, home to large cacti, hardy shrubs, and vast Diblo grain farms. The Havi Desert was known across Aspel as prime land for growing the valuable and hardy Diblo grain. Despite this, there were only a handful of farms scattered throughout the desert, and, for the most part, the Havi was a great unknown. The unknown is what had drawn Parker Vesser and his little group of adventurers. They had all heard the stories about a Florian man named Nithil, who lived in the south and who'd found a passageway that led to another realm. The legend said that the passageway he'd found was in a red rock valley of County Ludlow, in the Ambu province, just outside of Wakta. Wakta was one of the smaller townships in Havi, and when Parker and his 5 companions arrived at the unimpressive town, it couldn't have been more underwhelming. There was a Bipun charging station, a truck stop, a motel, and a little restaurant, but little else. Rusty red lands spread out around the town, broken only by cacti, brush, and messy piles of boulders that looked like they'd been placed there by some outer hand. Parker, the leader of the expedition, was a tall 20-year-old with green cat-like eyes and beautiful, elegant lines to his face and body that almost made him look as though he had been cut from marble. His nose was flat and his lips slightly gray, contrasting to his paper-white skin. He had bluish hair. His fin-like ears moved according to his mood, and he was lean and muscular, with a sleek, athletic build. He also had retractable claws at the ends of his fingers, which came in handy from time to time. Parker was from the Vesser family, who lived in the Nagul province outside of Irayu, in the north. The trip to Wakta had taken 2 weeks by land skimmer. Parker and his friends had piled into a camper skimmer to get here. With him was Parker's best friend, a Florian named Gaz Kali. Gaz's older brother Reen was with them too. And he, like Gaz, had dark hair, skin, and eyes. Uala Yobamu, another of Parker's friends, had wanted to join the expedition, and she was as fair as the Kali brothers were dark. Her eyes were sapphire blue, and her long hair was stark blonde. The final member of the group was Gaz and Reen's eccentric father, Dom Kali, who had for decades been studying the myths and legends about the strange passageway and the hidden Umul oasis where it was rumored to reside. Though the afternoon was drawing late when they finally pulled into Wakta, Parker and his friends had opted to head out into the desert for a look around. They'd been cooped up for so long already they felt they needed the freedom. Finding a place on the side of the highway, Master Kali pulled the camper skimmer over, all the way off the road so it wouldn't get hit. Of course, there wasn't much traffic out here. Then Parker's expeditionary group gathered their packs and supplies and headed out, with Mr. Kali leading the way, based on maps he'd studied and brought with him. The sun was getting lower in the sky, but it was still hot, and the desert was almost sweltering. "A lot different from back home, eh?" Gaz asked Parker as he took a swig of water from his canteen. "Yeah," Parker replied, and his fin ears flapped a little. "I don't think I was prepared for how hot it was going to be." The friends chuckled. "Do you have any faith that your dad has any idea where he's going?" Uala asked, leaning toward Gaz as they watched the elder Calais with his messy gray hair and somewhat addled personality, pressing on at a quick pace into the desert, while he glanced again and again at a wrinkled map. "Well, if anyone can find this place, it will be Dad," Gaz said, reaching up to his left cheek, scratching the Florian skin stripe there. The black skin was darker than the rest of his skin. The stripe was inky black and narrowed to a tip beside his nose, broadening to cover his entire left ear. All Florian guys had that. For Uala, the mark was on the right side of her face. "At any rate," Reen said with a shrug, "it will be an adventure." "Cheers," Uala agreed with a happy chuckle, tucking some blonde hair back behind one of her pointed ears. "Can you imagine if we do find the oasis and the passageway that Nithil guy found?" Gaz said with some excitement in his voice. "If the stories are even true." "There might not even be a guy named Nithil," Reen pointed out. "Your dad seems to think he exists," Parker said. Reen nodded. "He even thought he'd tracked him down once." "Why is your dad so obsessed about all this anyway?" Uala asked. "I thought he was going to pop a blood vessel when you told him we were planning to come down here this summer." Yeah, Parker agreed. He practically begged to come along. Dad's always been interested in history and the unexplained, Gaz said with a shrug. Sort of rubbed off on us, you know? Dad believes the unseen universe is real and legends like Ravania, Ravenala, and the Shadow Travelers. Uala giggled. At any rate, Reen said, and he sounded a little put out by her reaction, if we find the oasis, we'll have a pretty good indication that at least some of the legends are true. And if we find the legendary Lotus Temple in the forest that supposedly fills the oasis, we can be assured, Gaz added, grinning. Yeah, the Lotus Temple, a huge ancient white structure that looks like a lotus flower. Uala laughed. Wouldn't that be something? Find of the century, Parker assured. It would be the find of the century. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and there are more episodes on the way.